And at that moment when I moved alone, I was living alone. So at that time, my economies didn't let me to go to a restaurant every day. So I had to learn how to cook because I have no idea. And I start like little by little, you start with hot dogs, pasta, things like very basic. So, and
Excuse me, if you had to boil down, how do you get your Michelin star? It
yeah,
starts with hot dogs,
yeah, literally, I didn't know even how to boil water, nothing. But at that time, it was that or not to eat. There was not option.
I love it.
So doing that in that process, I realized like, oh, I like this. And then I discovered like pastry is really interesting. It's more technique, you have to measure everything.
Support for the show comes from Vermont. Before we dive in, a quick note on what makes our croissant and honestly everything we bake so special: the butter. We use Vermont, an 83% butterfat European style butter that is rich, clean, and unapologetically luxurious. It's not just an ingredient, it's the foundation. That crisp snap, the deep flavor, that beautiful sheen, that's Vermont. And because when you start with the best, you bake with purpose. Welcome, everybody. This is Love Stories. My name is Omar Pereney, your host, and I'm so excited to welcome Chef Micaela Victoria. Hi,
Thank you.
Miqui.
Thank you. Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Thank you for coming to the pod. Cheers. I'm so excited. I really just did this so I can have all my friends over once a week and especially drink on Tuesdays. So thank you.
Cheers.
Everybody's talking about you, you know.
Really?
Yeah, really, everybody is. So I know a few things about you because we obviously, I'm a fan of your work and I've been following you. We're introduced to by another friend of ours, Chef Carla.
Carla.
We're sending Carla a hug right now, and she's probably jealous. Why am I not there? I told you to come.
Yes, Carla, we are waiting for you.
Exactly. Uh, Mika, I know where you're at right now. I know you're a good night hospitality. I know you have this like huge role. You're wearing many hats. I know, among other things, you just have like a small Michelin star pastry program that you're running. You have a Bib Gourmand in another one, and definitely you have four. You're working in four different concepts that are Houston favorites. So first of all, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been really challenging since the day I started being in Goodnight Hospitality. I felt like a very big opportunity to grow in different kind of sense. But definitely, since we have the start and the bigger one, it's been crazy in the good sense, and a big opportunity as well to grow up in many in many ways inside the work. I mean, not only just doing pastries, but having teams, managing people, and all of that. It's constantly learning. So yeah, it's been crazy.
Uh, I love that. Today, this is gonna be in the title. Michelin star pastry chef says it's been crazy.
Yes.
Well, have, do you believe this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you ever want to like pinch yourself and you know just like kind of reflect on this whole journey? I feel like most of my friends that are overachievers, like you are have just like somewhat the imposter syndrome. Like it's just like, oh yeah, it's chill, it's fine, yeah, I just do this. Like it's not a biggie, but it's insane.
Mhm. To be honest, I don't believe it. I'm still like trying to get it. Because it's something that you always see like, oh, it's a wish. I wish one day to work in a place with a Michelin star, or I wish one day to be in a team like the team where I'm now, or things like that. And since it happened, it's sometimes I have moments where I say I have to stop and say like, okay, wait,
Reflect, yeah.
do you realize where you are now and what you're doing? And
Another interesting exercise is like, do you realize that 10 years ago, if you like all you wanted to have, you have. And like, how do you feel about this? Gosh, that's very insightful. I have the same thing happen to me. Like it's just hard to just appreciate, reflect on even what you did in one week. Like, as a very busy chef, I know if you were to sit down on Sunday and just write down everything that you got done that week, it would be pretty impressive. Chef, let's take a little uh, dive into your background. I know you studied in one of my favorite places in the world. In fact, I'm going there in July. Just gonna give you guys a hint. Paris. And I know you're from Argentina. I am obsessed with Argentina. I've been there several times. We definitely have a cool, I guess, connection there. Tell us a little bit about how did you get started? Where do you, started baking in Argentina? How did that go?
Well, I'm from Patagonia, from the south, and in my house, my mom always loved to cook. It was a mom that was at home
I love that.
all the time, so she loved to cook, and we always ate very good food, like home food. And it was at that time as well when I see you for the first time in the TV in Utilísimas.
No way. En el gourmet.
In El Gourmet, yeah. Um, and well, then when I was 18 years old, I moved to Buenos Aires to study at the university. So before being a pastry chef, I studied international commerce.
People are doing the math right now.
And at that moment, when I moved alone, I was living alone. So at that time, my economies didn't let me to go to a restaurant every day. So I had to learn how to cook because I have no idea. And I start like little by little. You start with hot dogs, pasta, things like very basic. So
Excuse me, if you had to boil down, how do you get your Michelin star? It
yeah,
starts with hot dogs,
yeah, literally, I didn't know even how to boil water. Nothing. But at that time, it was that or not to eat. There was not option.
I love it.
So doing that in that process, I realized like, oh, I like this. And then I discovered like pastry is really interesting. It's more technique. You have to measure everything. I fall in love literally with pastry, and but when I realized that I was finishing my studies in international
Yep.
commerce, and I told myself what I'm going to do because I've been studying 5 years, something that I don't want to do. It's not my passion. I felt very guilty because at that time my parents as well did a big effort to pay in my studies.
Right, right.
So yeah, let's say like I have kind of a crisis and I have to decide what to do. So I told myself, okay, I'm gonna finish this career.
Right.
I'm gonna find a job. I'm gonna be independent, and after that, I'm going to do whatever
Whatever.
I want with my money. I was very lucky because when I finished my studies, I started working in a bank, so I could be immediately
Financial independent.
independent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing with my first salary, I went to the pastry school and
Oh, wow.
I did my inscription. And yeah, so I started studying pastry in Buenos Aires.
Gato de Dumas, where?
The one?
Where did you go? What's cool?
The school, it's called EAG, which is
EAG.
Escuela
Instituto Argentina de
Argentina.
Gastronomía.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah.
I
And
love that.
during that time, then I really realized like, oh, this is what I want to do. So I have always the dream about having the opportunity to go to Paris and do something. At that moment was just a dream. It was impossible for me to do that. 2 years after, I had the opportunity to move to Paris. It was like it's now or never. And at that time, to be honest, I didn't thought about that because I think some decisions, the more you think, then more complications you start
Yeah, so you get an
finding.
analysis paralysis, I think they
Yeah.
call it. Yeah, just
So in 1 month, I gave up my job, my apartment. I sold all my furnitures, and it was like, okay, let's see what happened. And yeah,
but I
then
love
all the
this.
process that came after, it was even more difficult and challenging. But
Because you
it was
didn't speak French, did you?
no.
Oh,
And since I arrived, because at that time I was like really proud of me, and I was like, okay, I'm giving up everything. So now I want to study where French people study.
Good.
I don't want to go to a foreign pastry school. So I went there very happy, and they told me like, yes, madam, no problem, but if you don't speak English, you cannot come here.
If you don't speak French.
French, I'm sorry. And at that time, it was August, and the classes start September. So I couldn't learn the language in 1 month. So I told myself, okay, I have 1 year.
God, what a horrible disappointment. You couldn't learn French in a month?
It, it was like, it was hard, I'm going to say, because I told myself, okay, I have a year. And not only that, I have to pass an
Work.
exam.
Oh, yeah.
And once I have the certificate, go to the school with that certificate. So once I did that,
Wow, that's a lot.
yeah, I went to school. So during the morning, I studied the language, and in the afternoon, I did like other classes, but in French as well, like gastronomy history or art history.
That must have
Uh,
been unbelievable. Like the most amazing experience of your life.
yes, now every time that I think
Think about
about
it.
those times, yeah, it's like it was crazy, but it was beautiful.
I feel like this word keeps coming up in your life,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But now I see it from another perspective, and yeah, it was a
You
beautiful
know,
time there.
I think a lot about those years when I was in El Gourmet doing the cooking shows, and similarly, like obviously those were years that transformed my life in a very positive way, and I could not enjoy them fully back then. Part of it just like disbelief, this can be happening to me at the same time. Like I just don't, just like a lot of anxiety. I don't want anybody to see me doing something that is not correct. I want, what are my chef friends gonna think? Like chefs care.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, yeah, yeah.
And now I think about those times, I'm like, God, man, I wish I could have just like had more fun, because it was like the time. It was
Mm,
not to say that this time is not fun. Like I'm having hella good
absolutely.
time,
Yeah.
obviously.
I feel like a very strong connection with Paris because, as you said, in my experience, it's a city that really teach me to be happiness in present.
In present, yeah.
So I learned that living there. That's why as well I love Paris, and every time I come back, I'm so happy and I can enjoy in present time. So it's beautiful.
Yay! I'm coming for my birthday, guys. I'll see you in Paris, June 30th. I'm so excited. Okay, so you went to Paris, then you from Paris, did you come straight to Houston?
Yes.
Okay, how was that journey to go into Goodnight Hospitality?
Well, when I arrived to Houston, it was some months before COVID started. So it was quite difficult
Difficult
because
time.
I knew nobody. Um, I didn't have my work permission yet. So the first months were like kind of difficult. And once the pandemic start like being more easy for everybody, and I could start working. I work 1 year at the McNeil Bakery.
Okay.
So I've been there. Yeah, I've been there 1 year, and then during that time I met Carla, and then I started working with her at the Mad restaurant.
Oh,
And
yeah,
as
yeah.
well, yeah, I helped them to open Rocamboles, the gelateria. And after the gelateria, I met by coincidence the people from Sierra restaurant.
Okay.
In At that time, I decided to work with them. It was a very fun and crazy place.
Speaking of crazy, yeah,
It's
that's
crazy.
quite entertaining.
Yeah, it was every time people ask me about that. I The only thing I can say is like it was fun.
It's
It
fun.
was fun and crazy. Yeah. Then suddenly the opportunity to be in Goodnight Hospitality arrived. I didn't expect it at all, and I have to confess I was a little bit scared of that. Because I knew, okay, this is something like several concepts. It's a very known hospitality group, and of course everybody has their own insecurities, and it's like, okay, am I going to do it right? You know, it's like
Can we
the
do it?
pressure.
Will it work? Is it worth it? Can we do it? Will it work? Is it
Yeah.
worth it? I think I don't know who I heard say this, but essentially it's like if you don't do things that scare you,
Mm-hmm.
you technically are not brave. Right?
Definitely.
So if you're doing things that you're scared of doing, and I can tell you're doing a lot of things that scare you. I do a lot. I'm like scared pretty much every day, and that just means we're brave, And then I guess a little bit of silver lining. I'm like,
It's part of your everyday routine.
totally, yeah. If you're, yeah, exactly. Freaking out, it's encouraged.
So yeah, and then well, I started being there, and from the first day I've been in that company, I have not a thing to say more than thank you, because it's like it's been awesome and challenging
Challenging,
in
yeah.
a lot of way, of course. It 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 challenged myself as well to get ready for the real hard
It's like
kitchen world. Yeah,
the preseason is over.
yeah, exactly.
I love
Yes,
that.
but I have a very supportive team, and I'm very grateful for that.
How does it look like to manage four concepts? Tell us a little bit about how do you structure a team? How do how do you keep them engaged? That sort of thing. Like how do you manage multi-unit? This is so fascinating.
It's, as I said, it's challenging, but in the same time, it's what I love about the job, because every concept as well is different. So you have the very casual dessert, the fine dining dessert, the comfort food dessert. So you're all time thinking about desserts, but different. It's not like you are always doing some the same kind of desserts. You know, it's like uh you do more refined, but then everybody like the comfort dessert, you know, like the cheese tart or things like that. So you have the opportunity to do that, and that is what I really like about being there, because I have the opportunity to being create be, being creative with a lot of kind
A lot
of
of concept.
different kind of desserts, and I really enjoying it. And then
Which
on the side of managing people, that has been, I think, for me the most challenging, because it's an everyday job. Every day you see new situations that you have to manage. And yeah, I think what I learned since I'm there, it's incredible, because uh, you become kind of a therapist as well sometimes. But it's nice, because I feel good that I'm not only there telling people what dessert is going to be next, but as well trying to
build the
understand
bond.
them, to listen to them, to talk to them, and feeling like, okay, I'm as well helping them in other aspects, not only doing pastries. It
Also,
makes me feel happy.
I try to stay involved with culinary schools and things like that because I love just to see how we can how I can contribute to those next generations. Kind of speaking like if we were too old, but we definitely have we've been doing this for a minute. Uh, you inspire a lot of them. You inspire a lot of us. You inspire a lot of people in Houston. You're way more visible than you know.
Okay.
Where do you find inspiration for new ideas?
Well, to be honest, I think like everything inspired me, but while I was living in Paris, I have the opportunity not only to study pastry, but art history.
Oh
It
wow,
was inside my French studies. At that moment, I decided to study art history, because I had nothing. I knew nothing. And I said, like, okay, this is the opportunity to learn something new. And I have to confess, like, it was a door that opened to a very completely different world, that is like, wow. To to learn about art, to learn how to understand the paintings, the all the history behind, the social problems around that painting, around that period of time. that when I learned that, I told myself, okay, this is art. Pastry, it's also art because
Right.
we work with our hands. And okay, I want to do something that mix both. That
One, it also produces emotion, right?
exactly.
But it's ephemeral. It's very interesting type of art if you put it this way. Because yeah, it's all that craftsmanship, all that anticipation and thoughtfulness, and then definitely all the emotion produced by it. But then people just eat it and it
Yeah.
goes away. It's so interesting how that works. Chef, tell us a little bit of how is the pressure. A lot of us just like, we just want to know. And I'm speaking here on behalf of a lot of us chefs that still, want to be like you one day and, be running a Michelin star program. How did the pressure, how did things change for you? And for the restaurants
Yeah.
after you guys get such, I don't know, a
Well,
recognition.
yes, in the beginning, it was difficult, but then as soon as you understand that it's going to be part of
Just
the every day, yeah, it's like, okay, or you take it or you suffer every day. So yeah.
It's
So
like
you have to,
pain is mandatory, suffering isn't.
exactly. So it's part of the job. Once you understand it's part of the job, as many other things when you work in a kitchen,
Right.
and you learn how to live without, and
That's cool.
I think as well in
Yeah.
my situation, having a very supportive team help a lot because we communicate everything, and there is days like you have the, a lot of freedom to say like, hey, I need you with me in this. I'm having a bad moment, or even from other sides of the
Departments, right?
kitchen departments, it's the same. I mean, everybody is there to help the other succeed. So
It's like the SWAT team kind of approach, like,
yes, and that for me, and now I can tell you, it's the key. Find your team, and then you can go through all of the storms that you can yeah, you can find, but having a good team that helps a lot.
you know what I love to kind of like shine some light to? It's like the incremental effort that there is to go from a metaphorical level 6 to a level 9 to a level 10. Let me kind of elaborate on what I'm trying to say there. So to go from like a fine restaurant to a fine dining, it's it looks like it's just one word, but it's like 10 times the effort, right? To go from fine dining to one Michelin star, it's like 50 times the
Oh yeah,
effort,
absolutely.
and I love that, like, sometimes we think like, "Oh, this person that I follow on Instagram or this chef that I follow at whatever, see, I work really hard. I should have their same results." Well, they probably work like 100 times harder, not just but increment of
Yeah.
time, but like working in the scary things,
Of
you know?
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, what you see in Instagram is just like the 10% and the good things, let's be
It's the
honest.
quenelle and the microgreen.
Exactly. Exactly.
By the way, do you do like a quenelle test to get into to be part of your team? I've been practicing lately. I want to make sure that I
I don't do that kind of test, but
oh,
actually today I was asking something to one of the girls on the team, and she was like, "Oh, I don't," and I said like, "This Friday we are going to have a test. Everybody."
quenelle test.
Yes.
Can I come?
Choose. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ooh, I love that one. Oh, this is so cool. And then somebody grabs 2 spoons. You're fired.
Yeah, or with
Oh,
kind of, yeah, like something that makes sounds, like that. So everybody listen.
I think there wasn't there like a famous cake by wasn't Oriol Balaguer that he had like a cake with just quenelles.
I didn't see that.
Okay, I'm gonna show you a picture in a minute. It's like stunning.
Mhm.
I just missed that. I one of the very one of the things that excite me the most about this, Michelin star boom and overall fine dining excitement that we have in Houston right now. We're very much excited about fine dining. It's that level of detail of care, the canal, like okay, I mean, fuck, a scoop is the same, but it's not the same. You know what I mean?
It's not.
It's not the
It's not the same. But I always give people this advice. It's like, since you understand that you have the control, not only doing canals but piping, you have the control, not the piping bag, not the spoon. So what you do is what the gelato is going. You know what I mean? I mean, if you don't push enough, the gelato is not going to be, it's
It's
not
not gonna
at
shape
that shape.
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So remember always, you have the control, not the pastries. You
That's
decide.
that's very stoic of you to say. I feel the same way about croissant, actually. Do you have a croissant story to share with us? I'm very fascinated by this world that I essentially crashed. This party of pastry chefs I crashed. I don't consider myself a pastry chef. I consider myself a savory chef that just like is obsessed with croissant.
Okay.
Um, and I've always been fascinated by how laminated those within the pastry world are like a little bit like sorcery. Like not everybody wants to do it. Do you have any like cool stories about croissant that you want to share?
Well, doing croissant at school in Paris, it was like, I don't want to say awful, but it was like,
He was crazy.
it was so difficult because let's be honest. I mean, croissant has yeast,
Yeah,
so it's a dough that it's alive. So in pastries and a lot of other recipes, you don't have yeast
right.
in all of those recipes. So what is difficult about croissant is like, you it's not only okay, I'm gonna follow the recipe and that's it. No. I mean, world of croissant is like, okay, the temperature, the
It's a
the
lot of
time of
little
cooking.
BS.
Yeah,
I know.
it's like, you need to take care, like, because it's alive. It's like a pet. I don't know how to say it, but it's like,
It is like a some sort of pet. I think maybe one day I'll write a book about this because there's like 1,000 different moments when you can fuck it up. That's my essentially the way I like to put it. It's like you better know all the things that need to happen
mm,
because one thing goes wrong and essentially you lose a whole batch. When you're doing mass production, it's very fun. It's very
but there's nothing more pleasant that when you have your croissant out from the oven, beautiful, big, and you say like, okay, it's worth it.
so worth it. And then
Yes.
2 hours later, it's just old bread. It's ephemeral. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You create kind of connection that if you don't work from the kitchen and people that is not from the industry look at you from outside, it's like, this person is not good.
Yeah,
But it's,
I love how humbling it is too. It's like you're only as good as your last batch of croissant.
yeah.
I love that. And I also love that there's so much theory behind it. And I know we like to think that this mostly art, but there's really a tremendous amount of science and theory behind it. And so because I'm not a career pastry chef, I just learned by asking a lot of chef friends of mine, consultants and what have you. And so it turns out everybody has a different opinion. There's lots of different angles, and I am fortunate enough that because of that process, I think we got a pretty good system down. And so what I want to do now is share. The same way that people shared with me. I don't think there should be any gatekeeping with this sort of thing. So on April 13th and April 20th, if you're bored, I know you're mostly not working that hard. Uh, you want to come hang out with us? If you can't, I'm gonna do a croissant class, and I just want to teach everything that I've learned in just one day for fun. If you like to come hang out with us, it would be fun at the kitchen. I definitely will come to the Canal party.
Of course, let's do it. And it's very nice what you say, and I share completely that way of thinking because I love to share as well. I've been working with people in my team saying like, "Chef, can I take this recipe to do at home?" And I'm, yeah, why not? And oh, really? Because there are other people that those kind
The
of
whole
people
batch
that no, I
nonstop.
don't share my recipes.
What?
What is the sense of that? I don't know, but
Like we all learn from somebody.
yeah, exactly. And me personally, I love to share. I have people that write me on Instagram, send me messages like, "Hey, could you help me with that?" And maybe it's a person I never saw in my life, but it's like, yeah, I mean, if I can help you and I have the time, of course, I'm gonna do it with no problem. I
I think the greatest honor would be for me in in the future, for instead of people saying, "Oh, this guy makes the better croissant or best croissant," what about this guy that Omar taught makes the best croissant? Like, this gal, like, I think there's so much more. Uh, yeah, it's just a much more honorable thing,
Yeah,
and
like a reward.
yeah, it's more rewarding. That's the word I was looking for. Like, just kind of giving back. Okay, so let's get some rapid fire here, chef. Croissant or cinnamon?
Oof.
You're like facturas.
Well, I miss them a lot. It's difficult here in Houston to find facturas, but let's say I eat more croissant, but I really like cuñamans.
Cinnamon is so good. What about one ingredient that you can't live without? Oh, I think I know what you're gonna say.
In pastry, salt.
Oh, I didn't see that one coming. I'm gonna second that one. I love that. Oh, the next question I have for you, it's kind of already answered. So, second best pastry city in the world.
In the world,
Yeah.
second.
Well, yeah, because I was gonna ask you what's the first, but I already know your answer. So,
But oh wow, second, maybe. Well, I'm going to say Barcelona.
Barcelona, Spain is so great. If you were to describe your pastry philosophy in one sentence,
If it's really your passion, it worth your tears.
oh, I love that. That's so great. And from the previous pot, there's always a question, by the way, that is left by the previous guest, and they don't know what's coming next, but there's always a question, and the question from last pot for this one is like, why croissant?
Why
Why croissant?
croissant?
It's like an open question. What's so special about croissant? Well, I guess you kind of answered that earlier, but like,
I think it's
or I guess what makes croissant so special
yeah.
in your mind?
Well, I think it's like I don't know if I'm going to say the right word in English, versatility.
Hmm.
It
It's
sounds
very versatile.
yeah. You can have it for breakfast. You can add something sweet, or you can add something savory. You can have it for lunch. You can make a dessert. You can make a snack in the afternoon, and even you can use it for dinner.
For bread pudding, for dinner.
Yes.
I love that. Chef, so you don't know who's coming next, but you can leave him with the very spicy question. This is your opportunity.
That's very interesting. What he or she doesn't like about pastry, being a pastry chef.
What don't you like about pastry? Cool. Ooh, I know who's coming up next. I'm excited to ask that. Chef, I have two more questions for you. The first one is, if you had an opportunity to talk to Miqui from 2016, before you were packing your stuff, just about to head to Paris, what would you tell her?
That you're doing the right decision. Yeah.
Where can we find you on social media? Where can people
Yes.
reach out to you?
Well, in my Instagram is Mickey Patissier. So it's kind of tricky because when I say Mickey, people think you write it like Mickey Mouse, but it's not. It's Miqui.
Okay.
That Patissier, Patissier like a pastry chef.
You guys need to look her up. She does
But if you put
incredible work.
Mickey, if you put Mickey Miqui, you're already going to see my picture.
Dear,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much
you.
for making this world, this city, a more delicious, a more prosperous place.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see what you keep doing and what you bring next to Houston's culinary scene. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Golden flakes in the morning light, butter melting, it's a tasty sight. Warm and soft from the baker's hands, start the day with tasty plans. Rise and shine, it's croissant time. Fluffy dreams in every bite. Butter love is so fine. Morning's here and feels just right. Coffee sips and a pastry crunch, every bite a perfect munch. Simple joys on a silver plate, happiness can't wait.